things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion? I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Rip'n Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rip'n Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Multiverse broadcasting system initiated.
Lasers.
Multiverse connection established.
Lasers.
Hello.
Multiverse connection secure.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
This is My Life DIY, and
hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Ash.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Rip'n Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to DarkWolf's Den.
The DarkWolf's Den Show on Rip'n Common Sense Radio.
Are ghosts real?
We had 1,000 hours of continuous communication with the spirit world.
Does time travel actually exist?
The laws of physics seem to be compatible with time machines.
You know, sometimes I wonder about reincarnation. Don't you?
A 4-year-old boy in Adelaide, Australia, has told his parents that he used to be Britain's Princess Diana.
What would happen if the world found out that aliens were real?
I didn't say disclosure would be easy, but what is the alternative?
To establish a space force as the 6th branch of the armed forces.
We have so many questions and yet so little time, so to have you here, the pleasure is all mine.
Coming to you from a secret cave, hidden deep within the wilderness. This is the DarkWolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live across the multiverse from a secret cave, hidden deep within the wilderness of Tennessee. That's right. We're ripping through the electromagnetic soup, tearing through the atmosphere, and tunneling away into your radio like a quantum particle. This is the DarkWolf's Den Show for Thursday, September the 30th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to discuss the end times prophecies. Clearly, none of them have worked out thus far, but there has been more than their fair share of those that have guessed or tried to guess when it would be. Thank goodness for them, we're still here discussing it, so they were all wrong. We're going to discuss all that and more here in just a moment, but first let's see who all we have over here in the chat rooms on YouTube tonight. And welcome everybody, I am so glad to see all of you here. Got JoJo's checking in at the top of the DarkWolf's Den Show chat. Congratulations, JoJo's throwing the music signs out there. XGen says, evening fellow travelers, evening XGen. Sandy B says, hi everyone, hi Sandy B. Michael Fontaine, never happened in this lifetime. Well, let us hope not. It would be the end of either lifetime either way, though, wouldn't it? Next up we have, who else we got here? JoJo's, and Gainer says, well, I wanted to come in and say it's been nice knowing you all before the end of the world, and I likewise agree. It's been nice knowing all of you before the end of the world. Let's hope it doesn't come any time soon. Then again, with the guy or people that seem to be running things anymore, Albert Yarder over in the Rippin' Rabbit Hole chat room says, hello Albert Yarder. Terry Taggart says, hello everyone. AJ the Rippin' Rabbit checking in says, wahoo AJ, how yeah. Sandy B then jumped over into the Rippin' Rabbit Hole chat room also. Sandy says, I tried another one of Nikki's recipes, yum. There's a lot of good recipes over on the rippinrabbithole.com, just saying. And of course, before we can dive into tonight's topic, we have two more fun little segments to do. The first of which we call Today in History. And this one here is actually an incredibly important today in history. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. On this day in 1946, 22 Nazi leaders, including Joachim von Ribbentrop and Hermann Göring, are found guilty of war crimes and sentenced to death or prison at the Nuremberg war trials. Remember, a lot of this, or pretty much, if I'm not mistaken, all of this was over the Holocaust that had happened. Something that looks eerily familiar to things of modern day, right? I only pray that I can only be around to see round 2 of this, but the Nuremberg war trials sentenced all these people on this day in 1946, and that is today's segment of Today in History. And you know, I really mean that. I really hope that I'm around to see round 2 of the Nuremberg trials. It may not have the same name, we'll have to see, right? But one person that will not ever report on it correctly would be the media. And that brings us to our next segment of the night.
Say what?
And our quote of the night tonight comes from author George Bernard Shaw. He says, and I quote, "The trouble with the media is that it seems unable to distinguish between the end of the world and a bicycle accident," end quote. And apparently the media wasn't any better in his day than it is today. Apparently it's only gotten worse, right? Anyway, that is today's segment of
Say What?
You know, what's really sad is if the world was about to end, I don't think the media would tell you. I think they would double down on trying to end while being the richest people on the planet, right? Maybe that's just me, but I am quite cynical when it comes to our media anymore, as anyone would be who's listened to the media for more than, 5 minutes, or the propaganda machine that we call the media, right? But hopefully they will find the end of their world very soon, only if we're lucky. But speaking of the end of the world, that is the topic tonight. And for a very, very long time, humans have been trying to guess the end of the world. As a matter of fact, it goes back probably a lot further than you would think, because I know a lot of us lived through 2012 and before that the Y2K, and there's been a number of times in our own lives where we've been told the world's going to end, it's about to end. And I know I've been told I'm living in the end days since I was born. I don't know how many generations they've been telling that to, but from what we're about to hear, apparently a lot more than one would think, ladies and gentlemen.
From the moment man was able to fear it, the end of the world has been a hot-button topic. Predictions have been made by so many people over time that it's tough to keep track of every instance the world was meant to end. But there are specific cases that were more than just predictions. January 1st, 1000. Pope Sylvester II was one of several who brought popularity to this date by claiming it to be the millennium apocalypse at the end of the Christian millennium. The turn of the millennium was a big deal long before Y2K.
And I guess there really is nothing new under the sun, because even though I lived through the whole Y2K panic, apparently that was only every 1,000 years we get the same panic, right? And remember, this time that we're talking about here was actually suggested by none other than the Pope at the time.
The year 999 proved to be an interesting one for many, as those that prepared for the end of the world willingly gave away their possessions, assuming that, with the world ending and all, there would be no need for them. Prisoners were set free, crops were neglected, and riots broke out as societies tried to handle the thought of the second coming of Christ. But come January 2nd, 1000, when Christ did not show, theorists changed their tune, stating that the end was really going to be on January 1st, 1033, which marked 1,000 years after Christ's death.
Again, remember, this is a pope putting out this information, saying, oh, no, wait, we were wrong, it's another 33 years away.
February 1st, 1524. According to story, if not for Noah and his ark, a massive flood would have wiped out the world already. This idea made another appearance when a group of London astrologists apparently hoped to be as life-saving as the great ark builder.
And if you didn't know, even in Jesus' day, those guys were expecting the end to come in a couple weeks. They really thought the end of the world was right around the corner, that we'd never even be sitting here discussing what we're discussing today.
When, in June of 1523, they predicted that a massive flood would completely engulf the city a year later.
Now, true or not, whether it played out or not, would you take the chance? Would you flee the city, or would you sit right where you were and take the chance just in case they were wrong, right? go ahead and put a 1 in the chat room if you would have fled the city and just run away. Go ahead, put a 2 in the chat room if you would call bollocks on that and you knew there would be no end of the world. And go ahead and put a 3 if you're not sure what you would do. This question will come up again later, that I can guarantee.
Of course, as can be expected, there was no flood, but over 20,000 citizens had already abandoned their homes. Those that remained behind obsessively stockpiled food and supplies to survive, completely derailing their normal lives.
And that is something else that cannot be underestimated, right? That is being prepared, because I'm not sure if you could exactly prepare for the end of the world, right? There might not be anything left, so why prepare, right? But if you are prepared, at least if it doesn't happen, you got everything you need for quite a long time.
October 22nd, 1844. When one man can throw an entire group of people into panic over the end of the world, that one man has some power. Unfortunately for followers of Baptist preacher William Miller, that power of persuasion isn't something he wielded lightly. During the Second Great Awakening, William Miller had predicted that the world would end in either 1843 or 1844 upon Christ's second coming.
I love how all of these guys claim that they know the date of Christ's second coming. And by the way, that claim is still being made for those who are wondering. But the Bible, it says that no man shall know the date, the time, the hour in which the Lord will come. So assuming that would be the end of the world scenario, the Lord coming like the Armageddon, right? Assuming based on that, then it's funny that all these guys think they know the date, even though they tend to be wrong like quite a bit, like every time, right? But speaking of saying things, let's see what you guys said. In that first scenario, would you have grabbed your stuff and run if they told you the world was ending in 999? It was ending in less than a year. Would you have grabbed your stuff and run, or would you have stuck around to find out if it did or not? Remember, 1 if you would have run, 2 if you would have stuck around, 3 if you're unsure. Let's see once again what you guys said over here in the chat rooms. It looks like Angel Light says 1. She'd have definitely believed it, took a running leap out of there. Julie Travels the Cosmos. Welcome, guys, to the Darkwolf's Den Show. I don't recognize those names, but we're glad to have you over here. Says 2. No, definitely wouldn't fall for something like that. No way. Very, very not gonna happen. My Life DIY, I like this one, says 1. If I take a little vacation away, that way, win-win, right? Might as well. That way you've got a free vacation out of the deal, even if you're around to brag about how good the vacation was after, right? Jojo said 3. Not quite sure what she would do in that particular scenario. Michael Fontaine says 1 and 2. Not quite sure. I think that equals a 3 there. He would run, but he would stay. I think that equals a 3. Over in the Rippin' Rabbit Hole chat, AJ the Rippin' Rabbit says, oh no, definitely with the 2, would not be fooled by that. Raider Champion says, a little late, had to jump over the crumbling San Andreas fault. Yeah, that thing's getting worse by the day, man. This end of the world's getting quicker and quicker, right? Sandy B with the 2 says, no thank you, she would not have fallen for it. Terry Taggart with a 1, might have fallen for that trap, she says. First time I've seen Terry off the fence in a little while. Raider Champion 2.2, if the world was ending, wouldn't matter where you were, right? He wouldn't jump and run, he'd have stuck around to see it firsthand. Interesting, different little mix there. It was kind of a mixed up board. Alviarder 2, no place is safe, so trust God. There you go. Definitely wouldn't have fallen for it, but definitely trust God either way, and she was ready to come through that. I love it. Such a wide variety of answers here. And where we left off, of course, is the Baptist preacher predicting the end of the world. Clearly, that one was wrong. That was in the 1800s. But once again, he is not alone. And welcome Errol Taylor over in the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Glad to see you, Errol.
Follower of Miller's, Samuel S. Snow, pinpointed October 22nd, 1844 as the date. Following the word of a man they respected and believed, Miller's followers started to give away their worldly goods in anticipation of the event.
I don't know about you guys, but that sounds a little cult-like to me.
Yet what Miller's believers experienced became known as the Great Disappointment after neither Christ nor the end of the world came.
No, you don't say. If you were one of the people over there in the chat that put a 1, you would have also been sadly disappointed. The Great Disappointment, right, would have been for you like it was for the follower of this guy in the 1800s. But you would think they would learn their lesson, right? You would think at this point they've been doing it for 800 plus years. They've not got a single one right. You would think they would, back off a little bit. No, these guys don't do that. These guys double down.
May 18th, 1910. Some believe if you want to know when the world will end, you just need to look to the sky, as either aliens or asteroids are going to be the catalyst.
Now, that is one point that I will give it. We could be hit with an asteroid at any time. I really don't think our, quote, authorities, end quote, would warn us nowhere near in enough time. And that's only if they knew it was coming themselves to begin with, right? So, there has been a few, more than a few, asteroids that have popped up all of a sudden that science had no idea they were there until about a day or so before they passed. So even if they were there, there wouldn't be a lot that we could do about it. So barring the coming of the Christ, an asteroid hitting the Earth is not out of the question, really. So predicting the day that will happen, maybe a little more science-based, but still, I doubt it.
In 1910, it was the passing of Halley's Comet that caused an uproar over the apocalypse. While nobody likely thought so at the time, the panic that stirred when tabloids spread rumors that poisonous gas would enter the Earth's atmosphere and threaten the human population is actually quite humorous. Genius businessmen and con artists took to selling comet pills and anti-comet umbrellas that would save people from the deadly gases emitted by Halley's Comet.
And the unfortunate part of that is those guys probably made more than their fair share of money off people believing these things, right? But we don't see anything different in today's society, do we? We still see the propaganda. We still see the craziness trying to work people up into a frenzy. They've just used a different method of delivery, if you will, for this particular fear episode. But it's still a fear of the world ending, right? That's what they've been using recently in our propaganda media to kind of sway us, if you will, with the situation at hand. Clearly not working, but to, like George Bernard Shaw said, the media can't distinguish between the end of the world and a bicycle accident, so there's that. We've made it into the 1900s now, and people still think that they know the day the world will end.
March 26, 1997. Some end-of-the-world prophets are so convincing that they're able to bring down entire groups of people with them. For Marshall Applewhite, his prediction revolving around the Hale-Bopp comet claimed the lives of 38 people.
And if you were around our age, my age, you would definitely recognize that name.
Leader of the Heaven's Gate cult, Applewhite strongly believed that on March 26, 1997, Hale-Bopp, while it was at its closest distance to Earth, would be trailed by an extraterrestrial spacecraft that would rescue certain souls from Earth and let them pass through Heaven's Gates. The only way to get aboard the craft and be saved from an inevitable apocalypse was to commit suicide. And on that day, Applewhite and his followers downed a mixture of phenobarbital and vodka, claiming the lives of everyone involved.
So I'm not sure about you guys, but I think I'm starting to see a pattern here. Every time the Hale-Bopp comet comes through, people seem to think that that's going to be the end of the world for some reason. So next time Hale-Bopp comes through may be the next prediction for the end of the world, right?
January 1st, 2000.
Now, remember, that is exactly 1,000 years after the first one that we heard about. The first one was 999, or the year 1000. This time it's 1999, or the year 2000. And I remember this. I remember the complete panic of the year 2000, the Y2K.
The turning of the millennium brought with it a widespread panic that touched numerous parts of the globe and threw IT departments everywhere into a frenzy. It was believed that the transition from 1999 to 2000 would throw the world into a technical chaos because it was feared that computers would register the two-digit year of 00 as 1900. Many thought this would lead to software and hardware failures across pertinent systems like banking, utilities, government records, and even computer chips that ran everyday equipment. Should these systems have failed, the world would have been thrown into a potential dark age, as the computer systems running much of the globe would be basically useless.
And what is bad is, in the year 2000, that would have caused quite a panic. But think if we had something like a large CME, or we had something happen that took down all of the electronics. That would be world ending for the dependence that we've got upon electronics, right? It wouldn't be species ending, but it would definitely be the end of the world as we know it, right?
The Y2K bug wound up being an overhyped fear that amounted to very few system failures and far less excitement than what was projected.
So I do remember the crossover New Year's from 1999 into 2000. I graduated in the year of 99, if that gives you my age by any means. Really just dated myself there. But to celebrate that New Year's, I went with my girlfriend at the time to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And the streets were filled up, and I mean, man, it was absolutely amazing. It was literally partying like it was 1999 because, well, it was. But I remember the moment that ball dropped, and the entire, and I mean the entire crowd, all at the same time, took a collective breath. All you heard was, and they waited a second and realized the world was still there and let it out and started cheering and hooping and hollering, and we had a great old time from there. But it was something I'll never forget. It was truly one of those movie type moments, a moment you couldn't have made happen any more interestingly, right? The clock hit midnight, the entire crowd took a collective breath, and once they realized we were okay, it was party time. So yeah, I do remember the Y2K scare, and when they said it had little to no damage, it had none. There was no systems shut down. There weren't airplanes falling out of the sky. It was literally just another day in time.
May 21st, 2011. Anybody that has followed Harold Camping's school of thought knew that May 21st, 2011 was really an arbitrary date decided upon using mathematical formulas and some speculated information.
Now, Mr. Camping, he is one heck of a character. To say he has had more than his fair share of failed end times prophecies is an understatement.
Also, Camping had been wrong before, in 1994, though he blamed that on a miscalculation. Despite the absurdness of Camping's claim, many followed his belief that May 21st, 2011 would mark the start of the rapture. Believers prepped themselves for the end of the world by quitting their jobs, selling their possessions, and following Camping on a nationwide rapture tour, complete with a rapture bus and the ramblings of a crazed old man. May 21st came and went, and the most that came out of it was a series of humorous memes and some backtracking on Camping's part.
one would think that after a numerous series of predictions that have not come true up to this point, one would just give up. But not Harold. Not Harold Camping. He doubles down.
October 21st, 2011. Not satisfied with the result of May 21st, 2011, Harold Camping revised his original prediction to state that the spiritual judgment occurred in May, leaving the physical rapture for October 21st, 2011. Despite his prior failed predictions, Camping's followers still believed in the old man and continued to put their lives on hold to spread the word of Judgment Day. Not surprisingly, the rapture did not occur, and Camping was left with only one thing to do: apologize for his incorrect predictions and resign from his place on family radio.
However, Mr. Camping still has not quit making predictions. As a matter of fact, I think we just passed another one of Mr. Camping's predictions, which he has reset again for March 21st, 2020. I'm sorry, 2022 is his next prediction from what I can find for the world to end. I'm sorry, May 21st. 2022. So we shall see how that works out, right?
December 21st, 2012.
And you know, I would be remiss to not have this on the list.
Was it going to be an outbreak of a world war or a series of natural disasters? The date wasn't predicted by some religious fanatic or would-be psychic. Rather, December 21st, 2012 was the last day in the Mayan calendar before it reset, and many took this to mean that the ancient society of the Mayans had already predicted the end of the world. Despite professional Mayan scholars and even Mayan elders speaking out against the end-of-the-world belief, the thought was already out there, and the world latched onto it hard. In response to the coming apocalypse, many quit their jobs months in advance, hoping to spend their last days enjoying life.
And thank goodness they got some extra days to continue to enjoy it after December 21st, 2012. Another day that I do remember. With that, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that music means we have to go ahead and take a network break right here. So my name's Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you're listening to the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show, exclusively on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. We'll be right back with the second half after these messages. Don't you touch that dial. That's right.
We gotta stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, it's the end of the world and you know it on a Thursday night. Hi everyone, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit. Are you enjoying the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show for Thursday, September 30th, the last day of September? I know I am. If you are and you haven't done so already, please make sure to thumb up that video. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. You'll get our notifications every time we go live. We're here every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, bringing you the very best of common sense radio, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. I'll return again tomorrow night, Friday, October 1st. Come along with me as we journey deep down the rabbit hole of civil disobedience. Exactly what does it mean? What can you do? What can't you do? We're going to find out tomorrow night. Starts at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, as all shows do. Then Saturday night, in the spirit of October, we're going to look and explore the fascinating rabbit hole of donating your body to science. That's right. Just what happens when you become an organ donor and you give your body away to science. We'll find out together Saturday, October 2nd. Then we'll end out the weekend right together with you with the most interactive game show on radio. That's right. Beat Eugene the Fourth airs this Sunday night. Can you believe it? It's already October. My, oh my, how time does fly. The first Sunday of every month, our interactive family game night, a show we call Beat Eugene. the 4th. Now, I know he's going to be there defending his place on the podium in the first place spot. But do you think you will beat Eugene, or perhaps will he beat you? Tune in Sunday night, October 3rd. Starts at 7 p.m. Get ready to play. Beat Eugene the 4th. Eugene, are you going to hold your spot where it is on the podium in first place?
My answer is yes. I think it is certain.
Oh, he's quite cocky again this month. Perhaps he'll do it 2 months in a row. I wouldn't be surprised. But the weekend doesn't end there. No. Just hop over Monday to Tuesday, October 5th, and exclusively in the Backstage VIP Pass and chat room, you can enjoy Tuesday night videos with your host, Raider Champion. It's going to be an interesting evening, Tuesday, October 5th. Can you believe it? I just am so blown away it's October. They're going to be exploring the masters of macabre and looking at music from some of your favorite horror and suspense movies, plus an individual music trivia along there in the Backstage Lounge on Tuesday night videos. We'll return to tonight's End of World Predictions with your host, Jerry Hicks, and the DarkWolf's Den Show for Thursday, September 30th, 2021. You're listening to the Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole.
Reestablishing multiverse connection.
Hello.
Connection reestablished and secure.
This is My Life DIY, and
Hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Ash.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to DarkWolf's Den.
The DarkWolf's Den Show on Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
If you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the DarkWolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and welcome back to the second half of the DarkWolf's Den Show for Thursday, September 30th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are covering the end of the world predictions. In the first half, we went over 10 predictions from the year 2000 onward that have yet to come true. Actually, we went over 11 because Harold Camping, I believe his next one is 2022, May 21st, 2022. So we'll see how that turns out, right? At least he's determined with that same date around May, right? But moving on from that, we're now going to look at 10 of the dumbest end of the world predictions that have existed thus far.
The Prophet Hen of Leeds. Imagine how surprised you'd be if your hens suddenly started laying eggs with messages on them. We're not talking like cute Charlotte's Web type messages here either. We're talking eggs with the ominous phrase, "Christ is coming" on them. Well, that's exactly what happened in the English town of Leeds in the early 1800s.
Sounds to me like a cryptid creature if this thing's kicking out eggs with words on it. Dennis Branham over in the Dark Wolf's Den Show chat. Welcome, glad to have you here.
Being reasonable townsfolk, they assumed this message obviously meant Judgment Day was near. In just their luck, Sarah Connor wouldn't be born for another 100 years.
And of course, as we know, the prediction was wrong. And the reason that this was written on the eggs, well, let's just say the truth is a little more disturbing than fiction.
The Jupiter effect. In the mid-1970s, some people believed that the world was going to end on March 10th, 1982. This would be the date when all of the planets would perfectly align on the same side of the Sun, even Pluto, which was a planet back then. They thought the gravitational effect of all the planets lining up would affect the Earth, leading to huge storms, as well as earthquakes and volcanoes, the likes of which we have never seen before. The end of the world.
You know, it now makes a lot more sense why they used that trope so much in 80s television and cartoons and stuff. The trope of all the planets being perfectly aligned and these weird things will happen. Now I know why that was so big back then. I didn't realize that this prediction had been made for 1982.
Now all of this came from a book called The Jupiter Effect, the author of which went on to say later that he was sorry he ever had anything to do with it. As you can probably tell from today's date, the world did not end in 1982.
Well, one thing is certain, at least he was still alive to apologize for it, right?
Robert Fitzpatrick. This man belonged to an evangelical group who believed that the world was going to end on May 21st, 2011. Now they had got this information from certain Bible passages and secret codes within them, and Robert decided he wanted to share this news with everyone. He then spent $140,000 of his own money traveling around America to warn other people that on this judgment day the earth would be swallowed up by fires, earthquakes and tsunamis. He said that only the righteous would be spared this fate by being sucked up into heaven.
Yeah, I do believe that was called the rapture, if I'm not mistaken.
Robert gained quite a bit of fame in the lead up to this day and decided to prove everyone wrong in public by spending the very last hour in Times Square in New York. Now of course, when it didn't happen, he was mercilessly mocked by the crowd around him. He just sat there, kind of flicked through his Bible and kept saying he didn't understand why it hadn't happened.
Can I go ahead and take a stab at that? Because we're nowhere near the end times yet. Well, at least not at that time. Looking around the world today, I might agree we're a little bit closer.
This is another one where I do feel kind of sad because this guy obviously had a serious disconnect from reality.
So earlier I asked the question, what would you do in 999 if someone had come to you back then and told you that the world was ending? Would you have believed them? Now I would like to repeat that same question. If somebody come to you today and told you, give you a whole pile of evidence and proof and told you they know the day the world is going to end, would you believe them? Would you pack up everything and run? I don't know exactly where you would run to in the world, being the whole world is going to end, but would you believe them and do everything to prepare for that last day? Or would you scoff it off as yet another hoax? Or are you unsure what you do? So go ahead, put a 1 in the chat room if you would believe it. You would go ahead and start packing and getting supplies and getting ready for the end. Go ahead and put a 2 in the chat room if you would ignore it and just live your life like normal and wouldn't pay a lick of attention to the crazy. And put a 3 in the chat room if you're unsure either way what you would do when given that information.
Obama is the Antichrist. A lot of people really like President Obama. Some people didn't, but I think everyone can agree he was definitely a human.
No, I don't think everybody can agree on that at all. As a matter of fact, some people think he's one of the many reptilians, so...
Well, not everyone, unfortunately. In 2008, when Obama was first elected, an email chain started spreading around the world. It said that according to the Bible, the Antichrist will be a man in his 40s of Muslim descent who will deceive the nations with persuasive language and have a massive Christ-like appeal. The prophecy says that people will flock to him and he will promise false home and world peace, and when he is in power, he will destroy everything.
Well, he didn't promise world peace, and he definitely didn't give it.
Is it Obama? Now, amazingly, a sizable amount of people actually believe this rubbish, and they really thought that Obama was the Antichrist who would destroy the world. What a sad thought. I'm glad they were wrong.
Actually, whether or not they were wrong, I would say is still definitely up in the air, because it's my opinion that the White House puppet is actually taking his orders and commands from Obama himself. My opinion, of course, the opinion of a couple people I've heard, but that's not rule him out just yet. He may not be the Antichrist. Then again, it does seem like his puppet is trying to, ruin the world. And let's see what you guys said to the question over there. See, earlier I asked this question. I've noticed a huge difference here. There was a good difference across the board. I had 1s, 2s, 3s. I've got a clear set across the board right now. I've got over here in the Rippin' Rabbit Hole chat, AJ the Rippin' Rabbit says 2. Nope, wouldn't fall for that. Not in today's age, wouldn't do it. Terry Taggart with the 2, absolutely not. Sandy B also with the 2, absolutely not. Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't fall for that, not once. JoJo's with the 2 also, absolutely not. We got 2s running the board here. Michael Fontaine spotting it up a little bit. 1 and 2, I'd leave and not come back, he said. There you go. That's not a bad idea. My life with the 1. Nowadays, if it was getting rough and I heard that, yeah, go out of town for a bit. No harm there. Well, there you go. Dennis Brandon, when I see Jesus cracking through the clouds with his angels, I believe it. Here. Dennis Brandon says 2. Definitely would not fall for it again. So I definitely see a load of 2s across the board here. If I knew the world was going to end, I don't think it really mattered too much where I was per se. It wouldn't change the outcome, but I'd want to be with my family, right? I don't know if I'd take a vacation run. I'd want to stick around and be with my family wherever they were if I knew the world was really going to end. But that's just me, it's such a weird thing because, in today's day and age, this is the time where, I could see it happening, right? If anybody told me 20 years ago the world's about to end, I'd have been like, I don't know about all that. The way things are going today, I think we're just one good insult away, perhaps, on the world stage from things going really awry.
Okay, coming in at number 3 now, we have the Black Rainbow. Jerron Criswell Koenig was a popular American psychic who died in 1982. Now, throughout his life, he made a lot of quite strange predictions. For example, he said there would one day be cannibalism in Pennsylvania and that a great drought would leave New York in ruins. But perhaps his strangest prediction was the Black Rainbow. Criswell said that on Wednesday, August 18th, 1999, every point on Earth would be covered by a black rainbow, the darkest black you can imagine.
I gotta say, this is the first time that I have heard of an alternate 1999 end of the world scenario.
The black rainbow will then start sucking up the oxygen from our atmosphere like a huge snake suffocating its prey. For the next few hours, we will all grow weaker and weaker as we couldn't breathe. And then we will all go silently, gasping for breath, and there will be only silence on the earth.
That kind of reminds me of the guy back in the Hale-Bopp Comet, right? Selling the Comet pills because everybody was going to die of the poisonous gas coming in. It sounds like they just took that narrative and rewrote it a little bit and playing the same game on that. What do you guys think?
Lovely stuff. Well, I had my birthday not long after that day, and I remember the oxygen levels were pretty fine. Had some nice cake too.
I see New York getting hit by a flood or a tsunami wave a lot quicker than a drought, right? But yeah, clearly that prediction did not pan out. Our next story, if you've been listening to the Rippin' Rabbit Hole lately, may sound really familiar to you.
Baba Vanga. This Bulgarian woman who died in 1996 had the catchy name of Nostradamus from the Balkans. She made a bunch of different predictions, but one in particular stood out: World War III. She even gave the year this would happen, 2016. She said the continent of Europe would be left almost empty after being turned into a nuclear wasteland, almost entirely devoid of any life form. forms. I mean, to be fair now, with the way the past few years have been going, a nuclear war hasn't seemed quite so crazy as it used to be. Hopefully, if any of you guys are watching this years from now, things will have calmed down a little bit. But still, she said 2016, so she was wrong, technically. Sorry, Bubba.
You know, the John Titor prophecies called for that around 2015, a war that would end all. Clearly that has not happened yet, but the way he described things happening, we're headed down that road.
Now guys, we have Pat Robertson. He is an American minister who is known for his evangelical Christian TV shows. Now one of his shows was called the 700 Club.
I remember the 700 Club. It came on every morning. I knew because that was when it was time for me to turn the channel. I did not like that show at all.
And in late 1976, he made a doomsday prediction on it. He said that in October or November 1982, the world would end. 4 years later, he clarified this by saying, I guarantee you by the end of 1982, there is going to be a judgment on the world. Obviously, like everything else on our list, he was sorely mistaken. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. In 2011, Robertson and other people who incorrectly predicted the end of the world were awarded the IG Nobel Prize, teaching the world to be careful when making mathematical assumptions and calculations. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. A little bit of a burn.
That is kind of funny that they got the award for being wrong about the end of the world, right? But there are even more predictions about the end of the world that clearly have yet to come true. The next one we've heard of quite a bit in the last, 5 years or so.
The blood moon prophecy. Quote, the sun will turn into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes. Or so says the book of Joel in the Bible. A blood moon results during a total lunar eclipse and is when light interacts with the atmosphere in such a way that the moon can sometimes appear red or orange. Christian ministers John Hagee and Mark Biltz took the previous passage to mean that the world would end after 4 straight blood moons would coincide on several Jewish holidays in 2014 and 2015.
That something on a grand and global scale is about to happen.
Well, he was right. He was only just a few years off.
In actuality, a tetrad, which is a series of 4 consecutive blood moons, is not that uncommon. 62 tetrads have occurred since the 1st century AD, according to the website EarthSky.
See, that's even more strange because you remember a couple years ago we were told, oh, blood moons are very rare. And then having that many blood moons in a row is very rare. Apparently, there's nothing rare about any of it, right?
Joanna Southcott. At around 42 years old, Joanna Southcott started to hear voices. Usually not a good sign.
Who's hearing voices?
These voices told her of upcoming droughts, crop failures, and famines. Claiming she was the woman of the apocalypse, she amassed over 100,000 believers.
You have the power of hell in this room.
She also began selling seals of the Lord, pieces of paper which guaranteed Southcottians a place among those selected for eternal life.
And that right there would be the first clue. Would you take a piece of paper that says, I have eternal life and expect that to actually work when you get to heaven? Not that you can probably take things with you.
At 64 years old, proclaiming herself to be a virgin, Southcott revealed she would be giving birth to the next Messiah, which is typically a sign of end days to come. But she died before her prophecy could come true.
I guess God decided he wasn't ready for the end of the world yet, or ready to send the end times baby out yet, right?
Halle's Comet. Passing the Earth every 75 or 76 years, Halle's Comet is believed to have been recorded by astronomers since Babylonian times. In 1881, spectroscopic analysis revealed that the tails of comets are made up of deadly cyanogen gas. Fast forward to 1910, when people realized that the comet was going to pass closer than usual, and that the Earth would travel through its tail. When newspapers started printing inflammatory headlines, people got really worried. One unsubstantiated story even claims that some Oklahomans tried to sacrifice a virgin in order to stave off Earth's impending doom. The comet did pass by, and we did pass through its tail, but there was no apparent effect.
Maybe sacrificing the virgin worked, right? I'm totally kidding. I do not condone such behavior. But the next time somebody tells you that they know when the end of the world is, perhaps what you need to do is remember the many, many, many failed prophecies thus far. Then take a look at the evidence, apply a little common sense, and you be the judge. We got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the Darkwolf's Den Show for Thursday, September the 30th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the den may be closing, but don't you worry, the weekend fun has only just begun. That's right. Make sure you come back tomorrow, Friday, October the 1st, where our buddy AJ the Rippin' Rabbit will kick the weekend off right. That's right. He'll be starting it off with a talk about civil disobedience. That's right. There is a time and place for everything, including civil disobedience. And when the law becomes illegal and tyrannical, it is the citizens' duty to become disobedient, right? He'll be talking about all that and more on Friday, October the 1st, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, right here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Then on Saturday, October the 2nd, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, he will be back on the airwaves with an all-new episode of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show. That's right, this time he's going to be talking about donating your body to science. Quite a morbid topic, but very fitting for the month of October, right? I am not a person that would donate my particular body to science, but are you? Are there things that you would like science to find out because that's what you've got, right? Are there reasons that you would like to see your body donate to science, or are there reasons that you would not like to? AJ will discuss all that and more on Saturday, October the 2nd, 2021, on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Then on Sunday, it's the most fun you can have on radio. That's right, folks. It is Beat Eugene the 4th. It turns out last month nobody was able to beat Eugene. So this month, maybe you can be the one to do that. How do you beat Eugene? Well, you come on over on Sunday, October 3rd, and you join into the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show. And we play the game called Beat Eugene, and it's trivia and puzzles and all kinds of fun, and whoever comes out with the most points is the winner, of course, and whoever beats Eugene actually is the winner. So we could have 3 winners, 5 winners, 1 winners, or like last month, nobody was able to beat Eugene. So if you would like to, come on over on Sunday, October 3rd, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, right here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio. Then we have an extended weekend or an early start to the next weekend. I'm not entirely sure. But on Tuesday, October the 5th, 2021, at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, exclusively in the Backstage Lounge on the rippinrabbithole.com. That is RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. Over there, you're going to find that Backstage Lounge, and this is where the Tuesday night videos occurs every first Tuesday of the month, hosted by our buddy Champion Sports Nation. Just like the Beat Eugene show, it is trivia and fun and music, and what he does, he puts on music videos with a theme and a trivia show with it, and whoever wins gets the championship belt. I have held the belt one time, but Miss Sandy B, champion for the time number 3. Can you knock her off her pedestal? Well, if you would like to try, come on over to TNV on Tuesday, October 5th. This month's theme he just posted is going to be about the masters of the macabre, right? Do you remember the old horror movies? Do you remember the old horror music videos? Then perhaps you can give Miss Sandy B a run for the money, right? And that is on Tuesday, once again, October 5th, 2021, exclusively in the Backstage Lounge. And that is again over on the ripinrabbithole.com. That is RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. You're also, while you're over there, going to find a load of other fun things. But in order to get in the Backstage Lounge, you will have to sign up for the Backstage VIP Pass, right? This is going to get you access to the rest of the rabbit hole and all the features that we have available over there, including the 24/7 Backstage Lounge. It's really simple. You're just going to enter your email, create a password. That's it. We do not send your email information out. We do not sell it. We do not do anything with it but hold it on our servers in order to send you out an email once a week with all of the Rippin' Rabbit Holes and DarkWolf's Den shows that will be going on all weekend long. It comes out once a week, every week, so you guys can know what's going on, right? Also, while you're over on the ripinrabbithole.com, make sure you drop down the rabbit hole. That's right. That is our exclusive social media section over there. If you're tired of the overlords deciding what they think is truth, which is normally misinformation, and you want real information to get out, come on over and drop it down the rabbit hole. That's right. And there's a load of other fun things over there. Like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, it's full of recipes. If you're looking anytime during the week for a recipe idea, definitely scroll through the ripinrabbithole.com, see what they've got to offer. They've also got live news 24/7. So if there's a breaking news story, we'll probably be covering it on the ripinrabbithole.com. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, Chick Mandela Effect, Walt House, Michael Musco, everyone involved with Rippin' Common Sense Radio, as well as Walt House and Red Shed Studios for this amazing music. On behalf of all these folks, as well as our amazing mod team, my name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And remember, until next time, stay awake, but dare to dream. Good night, everybody. How? Yeah. That's right.
Unlocked and into the dark. Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever Oh, what a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. Is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner Is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Thanks again, everybody. You guys have a great one. We'll see you next week.